into this story about Jennifer Welch from the I Have Had It podcast, she made a statement recently about the control of TikTok and how the algorithm has changed and how there's more censorship on TikTok now because Zionists now control it. And apparently that pissed some people off. It's going around on social media, but there's nothing that she said here that is incorrect. Let's go ahead and bring it in. Nicholas is one of the ones that is upset about this. Jennifer Welch claims Zionists, not the CCP, control TikTok's algorithm and are using it to manipulate everyone to support Israel and ignore how they want to ethnically cleanse Gaza. So this is one of the accounts that's spreading this around. Let's go ahead and get into the first clip here.
And I just want to add that if TikTok were owned by Jewish people, nobody has a problem with that. TikTok is owned by Netanyahu aligned IDF donors, the Ellison family, who wants to use TikTok as a weapon to weaponize. So we have to be careful in the language that we use. It's a slippery slope because sometimes the default setting, and this is why Benjamin Netanyahu has had so much power with some of this stuff. We have to be careful in the language we use. TikTok being owned by Jewish people isn't a problem. TikTok being owned by pro-IDF donating Zionists that want to game the algorithms in the same way that Elon Musk gamed the algorithms that's the clear problem. You have people that are supremacists. Elon Musk thinks that only smart men should have access to power and freedom and money and all of these things. Zionists have this idea that they are, better than, and so you have this desire to propagandize a public and whitewash history in real time. And they even have partners in it in the Democratic Party a lot. And the American public is having a great awakening to this. And so as I see Benjamin Netanyahu sit there and praise Trump like that, what I think is, Trump allowed him to just start bulldozing everything. Now listen, Biden had a huge part in what happened. And I think that Kamala not coming out in her campaign and being more vocal and having Palestinian voices at the DNC suppressed the vote of the base. And when you
pause here for a second. So first of all, what has she said so far that is incorrect? So this is Jennifer Welch. She is one of the co-hosts of the I Have Had It podcast. It's her and another woman. I think one of them at one point used to be, or maybe still conservative, but doesn't support Trump anymore or something like that. But they're really kind of raw with their language on that show. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. It's pretty funny. And I think where I disagree with them is they still believe that the Democratic Party can be reformed. I really don't think it can be reformed. And we've seen multiple attempts through that. But when she is talking about TikTok here, and she's talking about the algorithms have changed, and she's talking about the Zionist control, what is incorrect about what she said? Because for all of us that have been on TikTok, and I don't post on TikTok as much as I used to, but for all of us that have been on TikTok, we all know these things are happening. We've seen it in real time. But this is what she's getting a lot of smears and attack and criticism over. Everything she said, it's true. It's true. Let's continue. It's also true what she said about Kamala not making that decision that people were demanding of her when it came to Gaza. Yes, it did suppress the vote of the base. And I was telling people at the time, when I was interviewing people on the ground, the most response that I heard from people was not that they were going to vote for Kamala, not that they were going to vote from Trump, not that they were going to vote third party. The most response that I heard from people was that they were going to stay home. So there is something to be said there. Let's continue.
Really get into the youth vote. This is something that's very important to them. They're seeing this shit happen in real time on their phones. And that's why Benjamin Netanyahu said, he wants to control TikTok. So Trump is allowing Larry Ellison to get it. The point is, it has nothing to do with them being Jewish, and everything everything to do with them wanting to ethnically cleanse Gaza. And they know that they are losing the American public. Israel did spend a lot of money with a publicity firm to see what they could do because they've lost the American public approval. And they said, you can't spend genocide, but what you can do is do an increase in Islamophobia. And so that's what you're going to start to see all over TikTok. When Larry Ellison gets the reins of it, the algorithms are going to turn into overt Islamophobia.
And one thing that I do want to add here as well, I already know a couple of people that have been banned from TikTok. So because of posting the pro-Palestinian content. So we have to say that as well. Renee said, Sabby, many are no longer critical thinkers. Everything has to be boxed. And that's a big part of the problem, right? I've talked about that multiple times before on this show. I want to show you the second part here. So you can see the attacks coming in. Welsh, a former interior designer, whines that Americans were propagandized. So listen to this part.
And it's insane. It's absolutely insane. The gaslighting and the manipulation and the obfuscation. It just is terrifying to me that this many people, this many bad people have all consolidated together to do bad shit and nobody's stopping it. It overwhelms me, and I get sometimes in the worst mood coming to work to this job. And I think, God, why did I ever leave interior design? I get in the worst mood because it's just horrible knowing that all this human suffering is happening. And as an American, you were propagandized to believe that we were the good guys. Mm-hmm. And then you start to find out, oh, fuck, we're kind of bad guys. And then with Trump, we're even worse guys.
So again, what did she say that was incorrect? Yeah, the U.S., we have been the bad guys. The U.S. government still is the bad guys. Like, we're the ones that oftentimes are the aggressors, especially when we talk about foreign policy. Yeah, and a lot of us were propagandized to believe that. I told you guys, like, growing up, I came from a military family. We kind of grew up with this idea that the U.S. were the good guys and all these other countries were the enemy, and that we had to go in and we had to take out the enemy. And then as time went by, I started to, do my own research. And then, of course, my family, having been former military, started to talk to me about their experiences and how nothing they were told about those countries when they went to those countries was true. So I had to have my own awakening. There's one more clip here I want to show. Again, he's really drilling her in here. Like, Welsh also claimed there is no evidence of anti-Semitism at the anti-Israel protests on college campuses. And this is the one I think they're really drilling her for.
And I'm talking about Benjamin Netanyahu, who is an absolute war criminal, whose country has killed over 250 journalists, whose country has targeted execution style innocent children, shot in the chest or in the head, whose desire is to ethnically cleanse an entire region. A man, Benjamin Netanyahu, who funded Hamas, yet goes out and propagandizes anyone who dares speak against his war crimes, his crimes against humanity, his crimes against children, his crimes against the free press. He did all of this so he could stay in power. And he weaponizes anti-Semitism. If you even criticize him, he uses anti-Semitism as a means to go into universities in the United States of America and pull their funding for standing up for innocent kids and civilians that are being slaughtered. So it makes perfect sense that he goes and meets with just an incompetent piece of shit war criminal himself, who should also be in prison. Kanks, Donald Trump, leader of the unfree world.
Yeah. And what's unfortunate about this is that both parties have met with Benjamin Netanyahu over the years and continue to meet with him, Democrats and Republicans alike. On this show, I've called out people taking money from the Israeli lobby on both sides of the political aisle. And that's the problem. That issue in particular, when it comes to Israel and also when it comes to war, both parties support that because that's what their donors support. As someone who saw the college campuses, the college campus protests, as someone who I was at some of these, Eric, my producer, we were at some of these college protests and some of the ones that were in Boston, et cetera. I didn't see any anti-Semitism, none of that. And those were lies that were told by Zionists, and those were lies that were told by, of course, corporate media still trying to do what they need to do to defend Israel and their part. But let me show you something, right? Because people are saying that she's lying, that she's not being truthful. I just want to remind everyone of this report here. TikTok's new hate speech manager is a former IDF soldier and a proud Zionist. Erica Mendel's new position involves developing and driving the company's public policy positions on hate speech, according to her job description. So when Jennifer said that, yeah, the Zionists are controlling TikTok, this is a perfect example, right? So this was reported again. This was TikTok's new hate speech manager, who was a former IDF soldier. And then, and here's another thing, okay? The hate speech is whatever they say it's going to be. It could change at any minute, right? If they feel as though you're criticizing Benjamin Netanyahu too hard, they could say, oh, that's a criticism against Israel. Some have gone as far to say that criticizing Zionism is also in that same lane. So it's not like the TikTok hate speech manager is someone who is not a Zionist. They are. And she's 100% correct about the Ellison family. Donald Trump has aligned all these people and put them into certain positions, allowed them to come into certain positions so that they can continue to try their best to increase support for Israel. That's just the reality, folks, because they know that it has decreased across the United States. And now it was interesting because it took Glenn Greenwald to repost older videos for some people to wake up. Pro-Israel accounts yesterday mocked Jennifer Welch for saying TikTok is censoring for Zionism. Yet here is Netanyahu with his army of American influencers telling them Israel's most important success. So remember this?
Christian influencers. Okay. You said, we talked about the woke right. And you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're loonies. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important.
When he says our influencers, he's talking about these are Americans that are pro-Israel influencers that Israel was paying. And we had this whole conversation on the show about registering people under FARA. He's talking about those people. So the fact that you have these influencers that are working for Israel, the ones that are being paid $7,000 per post, and they're not registered with FARA, that in itself is a problem. So that's one way, but here's the other way.
And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well, okay? And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is followers. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. That's very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight, okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our Jewish our friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpoint? Yes.
So what did he say? Benjamin Netanyahu said TikTok social media, TikTok, and also X. And he said, we have to work with Elon Musk. By the way, working with Elon Musk, that's going to be important with the Venezuela story. So the people are attacking Jennifer Welch as if these things weren't said. As if all of a sudden people seem to have forgotten just out of nowhere. Another one, Glenn Greenwald posted again, as if he must have had these on standby. He must have had these clips on standby because he was ready to go. Psh, psh, psh. The proposed TikTok ban lingered for years when it was about CCP. It got nowhere near enough votes. After October 7th, the ADL demanded it be banned. Politicians in both parties said the force said was because of Israel. An IDF soldier is its chief censor. So just a reminder again.
The way this is played out on social media has dominated the narrative. And you have a social media ecosystem environment in which context, history, facts get lost, and the emotion, the impact of images dominates. And we can't discount that. But I think it also has a very, very, very challenging effect on the narrative.
Yeah, a small parenthetical point, which is some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok broadcasts. So I'd note that's of real interest, and the president will get the chance to make action in that regard.
Now, normally after a clip like that, we like to help people read between the lines because sometimes politicians speak in code.
Not there.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes.
Yeah, and that was from Counterpoints, but it's all there. It's all there. So people attacking Jennifer Welch as if this didn't happen. And ask yourself this question again, like when it comes to censoring TikTok or any other social media platform for that matter, who wins? Who wins? Wall Street, Zionist, in certain instances as well, the military-industrial complex. It's not a win for the American people. It's not a win for the rest of us. And it's definitely not a win for those who support free speech. So this brings up the censorship question again. And when I said this before, Eric was really good at diving into 11 demands about this, which I want to show you as well. Number 7 of the demands of 11 demands is reject censorship. This is a big one. So for those who are new, my producer, Eric, he came up with 11 demands, which he believes we could have a movement around. And number 7 is reject censorship. Protect the freedom of speech from censorship, whether it's government or corporations, in the prosecution of persecution of whistleblowers and journalists, break up and nationalize large media corporations, reorganize them as employee-owned or governed, apply common carrier style rules similar to those for communication companies, disallow elections and deplatformings, except via due process that is transparent, fair, and democratic, prohibit government agencies from using big tech companies for backdoor censorship. This happens right now. Regulate algorithms that impact user interactions and open them up to public scrutiny. Prohibit all non-consensual collection of personal data, except through proper search warrants. So that's number 7 right there from 11 demands. And why do we have that listed as a part of 11 demands? Because here's what they're trying to do right now. Look at this. Israeli cybersecurity billionaire Shlomo Kramer says it's time to limit the First Amendment. This is what I'm saying, guys.
I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it, and quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. We need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online, and take control over what they are saying based on that ranking.
The government.
The government should
control the social media.
So here you go. Israeli billionaire saying that they need to limit free speech. That's why censorship is one of the 11 demands. Because if we don't have free speech, we don't have anything. So when I tell you again, ask this question, who wins in this situation? Zionists, military industrial complex, Wall Street, the billionaires, the typical groups of people. We don't. So this is a big one. And this is one I'm telling you, there's certain things I will not budge on. And I'm not going to budge on this one. I will not budge on the censorship thing at all. Look at what happened to people like Julian Assange. All these people who were not protected because they came forward with information that was truth, but it was an inconvenient truth to the government or to Wall Street. So Jennifer is correct. And we gotta push back on censorship, you guys. We gotta push back on that. If they take that away, if they take away speech, we really don't have anything. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.